What's going on, everybody? Welcome to that channel. My name is Owie. I got Dustin with me again. We're going to be reviewing episode 2 of The Last of Us. Episode 2. What else can we say about this show? About episode 1? Quick recap. We both liked it, but we both also kind of found it a little generic, I think is the word we threw around a lot in our last episode 1 review of The Last of Us. But man, right off the back, episode 2, I was a really big fan. I liked it better than episode 1. I'll just get that right off the back. Dustin, what's your overall thoughts on episode 2 so far? Because
Yeah,
you were a little underwhelmed by the first episode.
that's a nicer way of putting it.
Yeah.
Underwhelmed. Um, it moved along. I'm looking at episode 2, going with the different perspective. I'm not gonna follow the hype machine, okay, that you gave to me. I'm just gonna go in there and just watch the show. And it was a little bit better this time because I didn't go in there with this expecting something amazing. Okay, so I had lower expectations, but this was better than episode 1.
Episode 2, we open up the episode again with a throwback scene. It's in 2003, present day, I
Mhm.
guess, in Jakarta, in Indonesia, right?
Yep.
I'll tell you what, I'm a really big fan of these scenes before, the infection spreads and whatnot. The first episode, you had John Hannah on the talk show. This episode, you get some sort of a scientist lady contacted by the government, and she discovers the fungi growing in some of the bodies, and it's a really good scene, especially the build up, the hype of the infection that's to come. I love the opening of these episodes.
Yeah. Cool scene because if you remember in episode 1, when they were in the 2003 phase, they heard something on the radio about Indonesia, and I thought, okay, this has got to be the Indonesia thing, and they actually came back and showed it to us on episode 2, back in 2003. Yeah, the doctor, or I'm sorry, the professor, I believe, of a university of Indonesia was called in to go check out what they had discovered. So far, the only thing I like about the show is when they're on the 2003 setting, because everything that happened in 2003 has been more exciting and more compelling than what's been going on during the actual, uh, you know, present day.
Oh,
But yeah,
come
did you
on,
cut?
man. That's
Huh?
a bit harsh. That's a bit harsh. But
I'm going harsh on this show, man. Hey, I'm being honest.
you know what? I'll somewhat agree with you because I have played the game, so
Yeah.
everything else it kind of feels familiar to me. But yeah, these opening sequences, like explaining the fungi and the virus,
Hmm.
I mean, I feel it's a breath of fresh air because in the video game, the way you find out about the past is little Easter eggs, little collectibles that you read up upon, and you go,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. But in the show, we get to see it play out. So I hope they keep this gimmick with the opening of each episode, like a scene around the world with this, infection spreading. Because there is another throwback when the professor lady finds the virus and, she's informed that there's multiple victims out there and they don't know who patient zero is. And immediately she knows that the world is screwed. And her reaction to it is pretty damn scary. There is no vaccine. There's nothing that can be done. She just wants to go home to her family. And
Hmm.
she told the government, hey, bomb everything, start bombing. And there's like a throwback later in the episode where they're exploring the city and you see where the bombs drop. And they have a little mention that that's how it all began. Is yeah, I love the opening of that scene. It's also to show the significance to Ellie, which the opening scene after that little prologue, we get to know a little bit more about Ellie as we pick off right after episode 1, where Joel and Tess find out that Ellie is infected or has been infected and is somewhat immune. But we get to know a little bit more about Ellie. What do you think about her so far? Because she's a big part of The Last of Us.
Yeah, she is a big part of The Last of Us. And honestly, I wish they found a better actress because there's just no chemistry. I don't know about you. I don't see the chemistry between her and Pedro Pascal. But I mean the daughter in the first episode of Pedro Pascal was more compelling to me. So I think that's kind of why I'm having a little hard time watching this, because the chemistry for now just doesn't seem to be there. Okay, I understand the story of her and the character and everything, but okay, I hate to hate on the actress, but I mean, yes, chemistry issues can sometimes kill, or just be amazing for a show. So I'm still having to find as a viewer the actual chemistry between the two characters. Like you said, you would, I think you said you even mentioned about the actress not being sure about Elle being whoever this actress is. I forgot her name.
Bella Ramsey, and yeah, she
Yeah,
was. I don't want to say she was miscast as Ellie, but I don't know. Just right off the back, I was like, yeah, I don't know if they're gonna have as much chemistry, like you said. And
yeah.
so far, I like their banter though, because she's a teenager. She's supposed to be an asshole, and she's like
Mm,
that in the video game. She curses like a sailor, and she's always butting heads with Joel, and that's the way they start off. So maybe that's the way it's playing out, and maybe by a couple more episodes, you'll see the bond form, and it'll be like, okay, I see how these two are having a connection now. But so far, yeah, I somewhat agree with you that their chemistry isn't really there, but maybe it's the way it's written. Maybe it's like that because they are just being total assholes to one another. But there is times where you see Pedro Pascal, who credit to his acting, you see him kind of
yeah.
treat her like a daughter. He has like flashbacks of treat like that playfulness that he
Mm.
would have with Sarah back in the day. You see little glimpses of that. So yeah, maybe they just got to build up more chemistry because and all of that. But yeah, Bella Ramsey, I thought she was all right. Like she had some funny moments, and she's got to show me a little bit more. But I'll somewhat agree with you there. The chemistry could be a little better.
They haven't really got into Ellie's why she was immune, right? They just showing her that she's immune. She sees they show you see the bite and all that stuff, but they haven't really shown her why she's immune or something.
Yeah, they haven't. Yeah, they'll explain that, but they did explain, or she did like give her a little backstory and how she was exploring and got bit, and that's how they found her and everything. So
Mm,
she explained how she got bit, but yeah, there's not really an explanation how she's immune yet. We're kind of getting little tidbits as the story goes on.
mm,
But what I respect about the show so far is just the way it looks, it feels, and the way it sounds. Like it feels like a real world. Like there's nothing fake about it. That's what I respect about it. When you're playing the video game, you feel immersed in the gameplay. And I feel
mm.
like when I was watching the show, it felt familiar, but at the same time, it felt fresh. Like I still felt like I was immersed in this world. I liked exploring with the characters and all that stuff, even though it did feel familiar. But they're exploring, they're bonding. It feels like the video game, blah blah blah. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, and that's when the first encounter with the clickers, which is in the video game. These sons of bitches were a pain in the ass to deal with. And
Mm.
I thought this scene when they run into him played out really well on screen. It was a sight to see. It felt so familiar, and yeah, those clickers were awesome, man.
The clickers were the ones with the little thing on their heads, right?
Yeah, they're in
Stuff.
fact that morphed in. They got like weird mushroom heads. They look disgusting.
I did well. The scene before that was pretty interesting to me because I think it was a very telling one when they got to see all those zombies, I guess,
Oh yeah, yeah,
on the
yeah.
ground, and they would explain to us that the fungus was connected to all of them. So if you step on one, everybody knows. That's something that's new. I haven't seen that before. For me, who's never played the game, it's like that was a pretty cool thing to know.
When you said new, because it is new, that's not in the game. That's a change that they did just for the show. And
Mm,
I'm a real big fan of that change because it actually makes sense in how these things have like a hive mind. So every time
mm-hmm,
you mess with one, it like, the stakes grow higher because it's like, oh shit, do we alert like multiples? Like we got every time we kill one, we got to get the hell out of Dodge
mm-hmm,
because I mean the way that scene played out, it had like a Jurassic Park feels
mm-hmm.
with them trying to sneak around in a dark area, not to get caught because these things only sense sound. But the way they looked, the way they moved, it was real. It was real people with
Yeah.
prosthetic makeup. It was a good scene. It was intense.
So the clickers, what exactly are the clickers then?
They're just a form of the infected that morph into a more potent form of whatever the fungi stuff.
Okay.
You know,
So
like I'm
are
pretty
they in
sure
the game?
we'll
Are they
see.
harder to kill? Is that that's
Yeah,
what you're
they're
going with?
oh, dude, they're a pain in the ass to kill. Like when
Okay.
you play the video game, like killing like the other people and like the raiders and slavers, that shit was fun. But like when you get to the clickers, man, it's like oh shit, you got to
Mm.
conserve your ammo. You got to be more sneakier. So they're not
Okay.
something that you could breeze past. So I thought they portrayed that well on screen because just with two of them, we had problems, which
Mm.
I love everything about that scene, the prosthetic makeups, the way the actors. Kudos to the actors who played the clickers. They were good. They were good, but we did have a casualty in all this, which
Mm.
I didn't think this was going to happen in episode 2. I thought we were going to have more time with Tess, but in that scene, Tess, she gets infected in that scene. They don't show it, but it's during the scuffle. It plays out as the later in the episode,
Yeah.
but yeah, they get out of that situation. But
A couple of things from me. Maybe you can answer this for me. One, well, the first one was I'm glad they killed off Tess that quickly because then it moves the story forward. That was one of the things I appreciated it. It moves the story forward to finally build the bond with Ellie and Pedro Pascal's
Joel,
character, Joel. Yes. So Joel and Ellie can finally move forward and see what's going on. And I almost felt like Tess was like the leader of the group too. So this is a chance to move the story forward with Joel taking lead now and seeing what he can do. Because I don't, when I look at what I've been watching, this is Tess is the badass or Tessie, right? Is it Tess or Tessie?
Tess,
Yes.
Tess,
Yeah.
played by Anna Torv,
Yeah.
who she did a good job.
It looks like Tess was the badass and Joel was just kind of like her second.
Well, she's kind of like the brains of the operation.
Yeah.
He's like the hired muscle.
Yeah.
That's
So
pretty
I
much how
get
it
to
is.
now I think I get to see Joel's full strength going on moving forward without Tess anymore.
But he also
Um,
had some good motivation because, okay, so after the clicker scene, they eventually find the place where they're
Mhm.
supposed to drop off Ellie and give her to the Fireflies and they could deal with her. They find out all these Fireflies are dead. Someone got infected. They ended up all killing each other. So
Yeah.
that's how that plays out. And they're in that little compound area. This is at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So we're
Well,
getting
the
almost to
the
end
second
here.
thing before with Tessa's death, I wanted to ask you about that is when the zombies come in, I was expecting them to find her and go Dawn of the Dead on her and just start eating her up. Instead, one guy comes in and just sort of like infects her, French kisses her with like his 100 tongues. I don't understand that. I thought that it was all about biting. So yeah, go ahead and
Well,
explain that.
that's how the infection spreads. If you notice, like since episode one, you always had them like every time you saw an infected like on like biting someone, they had the little fungi, little creepy tentacles coming out of their
Mhm.
mouths.
Yeah.
So
Is that how it played out in the game?
What's that?
Is that how
No,
it
no, no,
played
no.
out in the
In the
game?
game, it's different. They just kind of bite you or scratch you,
Mhm.
regular zombie shit in
Okay.
the game, and it's
So
also
this was a
spread.
new thing.
It's a new thing, and it's also spread through just in the air. Like
Okay.
it's in spores and everything, so you had to wear gas masks all the time. But
Yeah.
these actors, they got to have their face time, so they probably like we got to find a different way to spread the virus
Yeah.
instead of having it just be spores in the air and shit like that or something like that. But
Okay.
yeah, that's all new. But yeah, that was a creepy way of Tessa's demise, which it's different in the game as well. It's different in the game. Like in
Mhm.
the game, the scene plays out everything before the dialogue even
Mhm.
is like perfect. But Tess shows Joel that she's infected and she
Mhm.
has that whole speech about like, Ellie's actually important. Like this is protecting this girl is worth doing something. We've been shitheads our whole lives in this
Mhm.
apocalypse. Protecting her means something. So her death isn't without, any cause or whatever. She did have a good motivational speech for Joel. But
Mhm.
yeah, after that, and there's also one thing that pissed me off about this scene, but I'll get to it a little bit. What else you got to say about this scene?
Um. Yeah. No. Like I said, it was meant to be. They had to do this scene. They had to get rid of her. And that was the only thing that was confusing me. I think also when they're walking around, I couldn't help but notice like how they stepped on things because I thought that if they stepped on fungus, everything would be connected, right?
Right.
So I did I notice them like stepping around just freely and then
Yeah,
not
maybe
waking
there
up.
was
I
like
didn't figure that out.
yeah, maybe it was like dried up because remember when they approached that mansion, he
Yeah,
was like feeling out the things like, all right, this is dried up, so we're good to go. So
yeah.
maybe it was just old dried up fungi, but yeah, I do love the addition of the hive mind stuff. Like that's how they were attracted to go to the military base right before Tess dies. Like
Mhm,
it's because they killed one infected, which
mhm.
alerted like the whole
Yeah,
colony around
and
the
the
area. That's
fungus
some
came out
scary
from
shit.
from the hands or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's
That
some
was
scary
pretty
shit.
cool. Yeah, I think that's going to be awesome moving forward, because gives you a different element of caution. Like how you're going to kill them. You got to make sure that they don't bring anything up. I would love to see like 1,000 zombies getting woken up because of that hive mind. And they just storm you, like it's Waterloo or something like that. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh, don't worry, brother. If it's anything like the game, you're gonna get a plenty of that, and it's gonna be a pain in the ass for the characters because it was a pain in the ass in the game. But yeah, once the all of the infected are there and they give Tess the creepy kiss of death, but she's able to like blow everyone up with all those
Mm,
grenades and gasoline.
yeah.
So she goes out in a badass way. But one thing that pissed me off is before Joel and Ellie got the hell out of there,
Mm,
there's cases of ammo and weapons on the ground, just
mhm.
an unlimited amount, and they don't grab any of it. I was like, what's going on here? I'm like, I'd be just bagging shit up, ammos. I would have took a few of those grenades, then I would have bolted out. They kind of just left in a hurry. I would have scavenged a little bit of that and then been on my way before, Tess sacrifices herself.
Right.
But that's how the episode ends. Tess goes out in a blaze of glory. Then you got Joel and Ellie. It's up to Joel now. So,
Okay.
and he's always been at odds with this whole plan. He wants nothing to do with it.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with them. I mean, is it someone that's really going to be immune to this, or is it just prolonged? Right. I mean, I think that's what Joel's mind is. Is she really immune, or is it just prolonged, and then she's going to turn into one of them, and it was all for nothing? So definitely understand Joel's point of view. It was a pretty good episode. It moved the series along. I'll go with that.
yeah, I like that. It was a good like adventure. It was a good little adventure through, that city and everything. Which
I
city was it? Like that broke down Boston or whatever?
Still
It's gotta be
Boston.
Boston, right?
Yeah, still Boston.
Yeah, it's still
I
Boston.
did find this is me just shitting on it a little bit. I did find myself having a little easier time watching the video if I held my controller. So if I hold my game controller and just went like that, okay, I can actually watch the show.
I'm gonna let you
So,
borrow my PlayStation 4 and you're gonna play The Last of Us. And
I
you'll have
mean,
a you'll have a bigger appreciation because yeah, okay, so let's just get to the rating real fast before we
mhm,
close out our thoughts. The episode
yeah,
ends with, Joel, he's in Mandalorian mode. It's just him and the package now. So it's just him and
yeah.
Ellie. And like I said, he's been
Mandalorian strikes
yeah,
again.
Mandalorian Apocalypse Edition, but he's stuck with Ellie and he's not a big fan of any of this. And of course, we're gonna get some good scenes with them. We'll see if the chemistry will get a little better, even though I did
Mhm.
enjoy the banter between both of them. But yeah, this episode, I like this episode a lot. I was invested 100% through. I love the clickers. I was hoping that the first introduction to them was, you know, be on par with what, I was expecting, like the games, and it delivered. This episode gets a 4 out of 5 for me. Easy 4 out of 5.
I gave last week's episode a 2.5. I'll scooch it up a little bit to 3, because I just, there was some key points that moved the series along. But yeah, if it wasn't for my controller as I watched the show, I don't know. At least I was in there pressing A, pressing, with all that stuff, moving it around. So I'm going to stick with it.
All
I'm
right,
sticking with
all
it
right. At
still.
least you gave it a boost, a 0.5 boost. I could go with that.
I'll go with the
Like,
0.5 boost. Yeah.
no,
I,
yeah, I
my
love this
thing is, I
episode.
still don't find it compelling, man. I
Uh,
just don't find it compelling. I really
I
don't.
maybe yeah, maybe I don't know. For
Do you
me,
find, yeah.
I was scared. I was scared coming into this second episode because I was like, I kind of know what they're getting into,
Mhm.
and if I start to feel that it feels too familiar and too generic, I might start checking out. But the way it played out, I was invested, man. I was fully immersed in the world like I was playing the video game for the first time. So that's just kudos to the direction and the writing because
Yeah.
I wasn't bored this episode at all. I loved everything about it. It's easy 4 out of 5.
Okay.
I don't think I could give it a little higher because there was still that familiarity. Like I've been through this before, and I kind of know what was going to happen.
Mhm.
So
Well, if
that's
it
why I'm
does
stuck
stay,
at a 4.
if it stays true to any game, that any big game like that, then yeah, in the beginning parts, it's always pretty boring, and it is sort of, just trying to get to know and get familiar with characters and the gameplay, right? And then it just ups it up like crazy. So, I'll be invested in this. Third and fourth episodes are really where it starts going up better. You start seeing where the better direction if you want to stay with it or check out. So yeah, I'll watch it again and then see how it goes next week.
Yeah, I you know what? I can't complain. I'm liking what I'm seeing and I'm enjoying it. So that's our review of episode 2 of The Last of Us. Post down in the comment section below of what you thought of the second episode. What would you rate it? Let us know. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to this channel as well to see more videos from us. Hit that notification bell, and we'll see you all next time. See you.